effective teaching in the classroom or formal and informal settings. So I hope that kind of gives you idea about the effective way to teach and how they learn. And today, there is a lot of different ways, but still I follow some way, and then there is I taught what is the introduction of the Christian educations, and then probably a little bit overlapped, but I got a different source. And then today I'm not going to talk about the Christian education, the theories in Christian education. I'm going to just give you general, right? And before we jump into the learning theories, and then have you thought about what is your learning style? What types of you favor in learning? Everybody's different though, right? And personally for me, and then I really learned a lot of stuff, things or reading the book. And sometimes I heard from a lot of people, but I'm not sure whether there is credibility. And then that's my learning style. And sometimes I know the visual is really helpful for the kind of the manuals and how to set up and how to set up the TV and that how to assemble the tables, and it's really helpful with the visual. But usually my preference prefer the learning style is kind of reading, writings. So Neil Fleming is around 1987. He had an idea about kind of learning types and styles. It's a BARK, and he kind of categorized 4 types and how people prefer to learn, right? Prefers to learn. First one is a visual. And what's a visual learning style is kind of known as spatial learning, and students kind of collect information and through the seeing, right? And when they present it visually, and then they can understand more, and then clearly understand than other stuff. And just think about, so visual learners don't just learn from the reading the word, right? Some from like me, I learn from the reading, but they don't. Instead, going forward and illustrating the world in different ways, sometimes like a chart and graphs, and that they more kind of observe the information quickly with understanding. So visual learners use the index card to learn on the go, and then that is you can just visualize something, and then maybe they can draw, and they can make a lot of like a mind map nowadays, and then one idea and spread out and visualize, and then categorize and like this, and then there is a visual person. And I worked a non-profit organization. My boss is kind of visual learners, and we just kind of print out and tables, all kind of stuff, and then kind of I can see what's going on, but sometimes he lost, and then but he make a chart in a little bit different way, and then he understands better like that. What about auditory? Auditory learners can retain the information best what? After hearing the information and recollecting back to themselves and someone's in the room. Someone hears about the information and then just think about one more time and talk to their siblings and parents and friends, and then that's a learning process, right? And so the auditory learners sort something out by talking them out and learn to say the material in their own word, and that is a really helpful, right? Think about, but still, what is reorganized information to the talkings and listening. So for these learning styles, and look at this, when you are in the car and try to recite what you being learn out loud, and when you go home and then just think about what you learned in the classroom, and then just speak speak out loudly. So it helps you remember what you learned, and also have a one way to see what you still needed to work on. Interesting, right? So if I do something at the car and it's not easy, so maybe if you play a game, maybe understandable, but sometimes if you do some kind of games and if you focus, on, I don't know what happened with you, but for me, I started headache. So it's not on my style. It's kind of it's maybe more fun, but not learning. What about reading and writing? I already told you that's my style, learning style. Usually, interacting, they get the information best, and when interacting with the text or reading, the information that you need to retain. So when I come to here and went back to college, and I already told you last week, I just picked the one sentence. Can you dig it? The whole semester. I don't understand what he's saying, but I have a textbook, right? I read and read and read. That's why I studied. If I read, then I can understand, and if I don't understand, read it over and over and over. And even though it takes time, but it makes sense to me, and then that's my knowledge. Just think about for these people, and then try annotate the notes from your class yourself, and then maybe you can just read the note and then try to cite, and then that's one way, and then remember the key concepts, and then also for the studying in the future. So that is really important. So reorganizing your idea with write down something, and depends on the person, but sometimes and draw the big pictures and add a little by little like me, and then when I studied and just read once, try to understand what is there and try to understand what author tried to say, and then go back and read one more time. And first time I colored basic definitions, and then another time and go back and then more detailed color, and third time and then usually I start to memorize, and fourth time and then I just remember, make sure. That's my way that study in America, even though I didn't know the English. So, do you know what is the hardest one? I kind of get the information through reading and writing because my kind of listening is very, and listening was very limited. Nowadays I can, I can understand most of them, but long time ago and then like 25 years ago, I didn't understand any, and then I rely on the reading and writing. And so auditory doesn't have anything at the time. Just think about, I don't know what I heard, and then sometimes even though next to me and someone said it in English, and then it's hard, right? And I always make sure, what's going on in my class. And one of the hardest things is that I was okay the material that in the time from the textbook when I took a test, but it's really hard for the test to there is no any stuff from the book and from the lecture. It's really hard to me because my kind of auditory learning is very limited, and I cannot write anything, and I cannot get the resources right? And that was a hard one. And kinesthetic kind of learning is kind of a tactile learning. This one is kind of people they can participate in hands-on activities and learn a lot. Probably depends on the which knowledge you guys need and which one you really need it. And depends on but people really just think about it, the kinetic learner styles and then learning styles, and people just sitting down in the classroom and maybe reading the book, it doesn't help them. Maybe create the kind of environment related to the lesson and give them idea and inspiration and kind of the basic idea, and when they read and they can understand, right? So experiential learning is a part of them and then learn. So just think about sometimes, and even though there's probably four learning styles, and then maybe there is you cannot learn only one, lot of stuff only with one style. Depends on your education and depends on what you learn, and then mostly maybe there's favorite one, but still sometimes you need other stuff, right? And sometimes you need, for me, and then it's hard to learn the computer. If even though I read the manual over and over, and then it's hard to understand because I'm really curious about how it works. Maybe just follow step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. I just follow it and everything's done. But it's just simple, right? But sometimes how it works, why? The question is in my mind, and then it's hard. Sometimes I don't have any basic knowledge of the area, and then even though I read, and it's hard to get it, right? That's kinetic knowledge kind of learning style, but little bit if you see then little bit sometimes 4 styles and 7 Here is another one a little bit extended, and then there is there is a visual spatial learning. We already talked about it, and this oral learning is already talked about it, and then oral learning is kind of the was Neil. He put the verbal linguistic and then recite and speak out. It's kind of related to the oral in previous, but here it is, and then a little bit different, and then what about physical learning is kind of kinesthetic and then a little bit different one, and so you gotta experience, you gotta sense it. It's best to get information. Well, what about another one is social learning, and social learning you work with others and you work with the groups and then kind of playing role playing and you put in some social in the setting of social interaction and then learn fast, right? That is the social learning. What about the logical learning, mathematical, and then a little bit like a philosophy and mathematics and other science, maybe understand the kind of reasons behind all the content and skills, right? That is kind of one of the way that it's hard for me to understand electricity, and I don't know. It's hard to understand with engineering stuff and then how it works. I still remember when I was in high school, and then there's diagram and kind of push and off, and then electric currents is kind of a circuit, and then maybe but I don't get it. I cannot feel it. Right? That's why it's hard. But if I read philosophy book, and then theoretical books and theory books, and then like abstract. So even though it takes time, I take time, but still it's very very easier than other way. So maybe sometimes solitary, and then if you study by yourself, and some of them is wants to study together, and some of them is a kind of it's a really quiet place, and some of them go cafe, and then other it's a very noisy place, and depends on there's a little bit expanded learning style. So there is different learning styles. So I hope that maybe even though it's not a even though you don't follow any exact styles, and just think about what's your learning style, and when you are take information best, in which way. And as a learner, you gotta pick it out yourself. And as a teacher, you gotta see the students how they get the information, understand, and they are doing well, right? And that is a very important thing. So just think about, and visual person is make it kind of he can understand he can visualize and then more better get an understanding. But sometimes it maybe take extra hours. But how can you help them to learn a better way, right? As a teacher, like that. That's the learning styles, and then maybe you can get more. And then let's jump into the theory part. Let's this a little bit. I think I put the wrong direction. And then what about the learning? So there is a cognitive learning theory. Cognitive is kind of just think about how your mental the theories look at the way people think, how your mentors kind of process the important part of in learning, understanding, right? And that's a really focus on that. Look at this, and And which Greek philosophers really focus on the reason, and that's why another one is about modern philosopher is Descartes, and he's really emphasis on their thinking. That's why without thinking they are not existed. Like I think that therefore I exist like this and Descartes. So really really focus on the cognitions. Really focus on the cognition, how people, human beings think, and that's why they really try to how they process their cognitively and with in mind, and then try to explain how people are learning. So learning, cognitive theory kind of developed over time, and then but there is a lot of maybe different way and understanding, but basically the internal thought and external thoughts are both important part of the cognitive process. It's not, even though we study on the mental process, but what is the stimuli is coming from? It's outside, right? Without input, and then they cannot get the outcome like this. And then there is an internal process here, and then but we get a lot of information from outside, and then your mind process and learn. So another way that you can use this process and as a teacher for teachers, and then so think about a lot of, there's a context here, there's a certain situation here, and the information is here, and other factors there, and then what? A lot of different ways. But if teachers keep question about what students are learning, question, and then maybe through the questioning like a Socrates, and then understand, right? That's the way. So, and ask a question, something and fail, but ask a question and fail, and then think out, and it works at the end. So here is the cognitive based on the theories, learning based on the mental process by which learners take in the information and interpret the information and store the information, and later on kind of retrieve the information. Here it is, and outside is kind of information involved, stimulate. It's not just sometimes one or two, but what is it? Stimulus is outside information coming in, and then you gotta process in your mind and respond. That's a cognitive theories. So there's as a teacher, and I just try to give you guys information, maybe sometimes some examples, and then you process, you listen the information, and then you process your brain and respond and understand it or not, and keep doing, and then how can I know that you understand or not, and then I can ask a question, right? And finally, you're gonna learn the information. So one of kind of a really important role in cognitive learning theory is Piaget, John Piaget. It is not all the time about the kind of developing, and there is kind of generic part is there and what's the environment part is there. So, but still, there is a cognitive process is John Piaget is kind of divided to stages and 4 stages, and then how the people develop their cognitions. And here is the John Piaget, and then there is 4 stages, and then sensory motor stage in around birth to 2 years old, and there's a pre-operational is 2 and 7, and concrete operational is 7 to 11, and formal operation is like adolescence and young adult. And look at this, and but it's a lot. If there's a lot of way that it's a lot of from the cognition theories, based on the cognition theory, and then there's a Gestalt learning theories, and then there's other the learning theories there. So maybe you could, if you take other classes, and then there is a dual coding theories and scheme theories and cognitive load theories and Gestalt theories, and a lot of their theories are based on the cognitive theories. So sensory motor stage, and just around 2 years old, and then they just use the motor activity without any use of symbols. They only use the sense. That's why little babies take everything is trying to sense and taste, right? And constantly they expect what it's like with the sense, and so try and error, with the try and error, keep it, test, try, and then learn. So, there, kind of at the time, there is not much developed the cognitive development. They kind of developed little by little. That's why in the beginning, the visual is kind of blurry, and then maybe into getting the visual is kind of better and like this. And if you take the developmental psychology, and more information is there. And what about the objective? What about the pre-operational stages is like still there's not much about the abstract world, and then still they don't understand about abstract stuff. That's why, and then sometimes when you buy the toys, and then a lot of parents, like me too, including me, and then they are 2 years old, 5 years old, but maybe the parent over kind of estimated children, and then they buy the 7, 10 years old their toys. But when they make toys, and they always think about their cognitive development. So what I found is, from my kids, and I bought a toy about when they are 3 years old, and then that was the directions at 5 years old, and then they don't play with until mostly 5, and then they play with the toys when they were 5. Maybe that's ordinary kids. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna know that yeah, there is no any specific cognitive yeah, abstract and logic is not there, but it was a concrete operational stage, and then like 9 to uh, no, it's like a yeah, pre-operational stage, and then around there, and then maybe still studying, learning languages, and then developing the memories, imaginations developed, and then yeah, but still they don't know which one is the truth, which one is not fake, right? And but there is a lot of developed kind of a past and yeah futures, yeah, kind of a relationship expressed, but still there's no yeah abstract thinking, and then intelligence is kind of yeah egocentric and intuitive, not based on their logic, just whatever comes in they feel like and they say, and yeah egocentric, so very self-centered. But if you go to concrete, it's 11 to yeah, 7 to 11, and they demonstrate some logical systematic manipulation of symbols, and maybe they understand yeah like math, and then uh, thinking more or less yeah they are less yeah egocentric, mean that yeah, they can see the kind of object in different angles, from the different angles, right? And so they can see external kind of event, right? And they kind of involve the concrete kind of references. So there is a little bit kind of put together with concrete and abstract, right? And then what they understand what's going on, and they can put together a little bit, and they can use a little bit logic. But yeah, formal, yeah, they can use a logic. Formal operational adolescence and young adult, and then adult, they use a symbol related to the abstract concept, even though there is not specific like a chair, and then just you describe the chair, and then they kind of have imagination, and then like that's chair, even though you don't see it, right? So they think about the multiple variation in systematic way. Sometimes one, two variation, but as we are getting older, and then you consider the situation, a lot of this from perspective, and think of one more time and deeper, and then you can see more variables and like this. And they can formulate a hypothesis. If you do something and it's gonna be like this, like hypothesis, and yeah, think about they can understand the abstract relationship and concepts. There is a Piaget kind of intellectual cognitive development, but he said that the intellectual development is a lifelong process. And then what I agree with Piaget is that some people have kind of slow while they were in elementary school, and but they are a little bit better than junior high school and college, and after college they are really doing very well in terms of reading and understanding, right? Yeah, that's why. So even though if you are really really old, and then became a senior, and then maybe you wanna lose some of your memories and all kind of stuff, but still, uh, uh, so this period, and then was a whole process is kind of he said our cognitive capability and it's kind of developed, right? And more complicated. That's his basic idea about how we mental process is kind of developing. Yeah, this one is kind of is really good understanding of how kind of a human being develop their cognitions, right? What about the implication of these cognitive theories based on his Piaget? And here is an important implication of Piaget theories: what? Adaptation of instruction to the learner's developmental level, and learning style is different, right? Sometimes their learning capacity is different. Maybe someone is really smart, someone is less smart, and depends on 1 year old, 10 years old, 20 years old, so different. So that's why think about the education that you are getting in elementary, and for example, it's a math class, right? Start with the plus minus division and multiplication and what, and then you little bit more complicated math, right? And then later on, maybe you guys have calculus and all kind of stuff, multi-variation like this, right? That's a college, that's a college level, and that's why we can kind of educate the people. This age, this stage, age of this stage. There is individual variances, differences there, but still, you can plan how to educate your children. How, society can educate the children. So the content of the instruction needs to become consistent with the developmental level of the learners. So if you this level and 1, 0 to before the kid preschool, and during the preschool, around 3, 4, and then kindergarten and grade, right? And teacher's role is what? To facilitate learning by providing variety of experience each stage. So you gotta understand of each stage of life. And if you are elementary school teachers, and then just think about kindergartners, different from first grader and first grade. Some kids can learn and understand, they can read the books. Most kids cannot read the books. While my kids are in kindergarten, right? Few kids can read the books. Maybe they know the alphabet, but a lot of kids they don't know the phonics. But getting first grade and kindergarten, they learn about sentence. I like to what? I like to. That is a basic sentence structure they learn. And kind of after 1 month, and they add another word, and then starting writing the journal. That is really big contribution though. What about the criticism? There is a criticism that there's a just think about the using kind of the abstract terms and using overly difficult tests, and Piaget underestimated children's ability. Sometimes maybe society change, and then everything is kind of evolved and developed, and I don't know whether some research said that, and the people's ability, or its IQ is getting greater and greater, and then just think about little kids nowadays, and then what I don't know how they learn using smartphone, and then tablet, playing the game, all kind of stuff. I don't know, it's a different generation. Yeah. So that is but researchers have found that young children can succeed in simpler form of task require the same skills. Yeah. So maybe to underestimate the kids' ability. Another one is the Piaget theory predict that thinking with particular stage would be similar across tasks. But in other words, preschool children should perform at the pre-operational level in cognitive tests, but research shows a kind of diversity, right? Children's thinking process and cognitive skills. So we cannot say that kind of it's not this theory is kind of test and then they make grand little theory and but grand theory is like it's not fit to everybody, but still generally kind of fall into the categories, right? Maybe 80% or 90%, but always there is a certain percent is not, so it's a different, right? Yeah. Another, that's the one. Another one is, according to Piaget, and then effort to teach children developmentally advanced concept would be unsuccessful. But research found the opposite way. But here is another research is that Huit and then Hummels in 1998, they found out that so was a high school graduate in industrialized countries compared with the others, and then they said that industrialized countries, high schoolers obtained formal operations. Many people many people do not think formally during the adulthood, and they said that this is significant in terms of developing instruction that performance support tool for students who are chronically adult, but may be limited in their understanding of the abstract concept. So just think about it, underdevelopment countries and development countries, and they are totally different, right? And just think about the social environment, social economic status, and also families influence and family the household incomes and the parents' educations and all kind of influence on a relationship with this, social relationship influence, and then that is kind of influence a lot on the personal ability. So sometimes, when I read articles and nowadays in college students and about 1/3 they don't get any cognitive gain during the college years. Maybe some study hard, some of them just say, oh, this is life stage to go through and then to learn the basic stuff, and then they go to college, and then maybe not that many gain cognitively, and then it's a lot, right? Just think about 4 or 5 years education and not that much learn. Maybe, there is kind of a develop, you guys, was the student to develop the kind of potential through the all kind of education, even though they don't have a specific knowledge of something. Yeah. That is a cognitive learning theories. What about the behavior learning theory? Have you thought about behavior learning theory? So behavior learning theory, behaviorism learning theory is like based on their interaction with their environment. And so it means that the behaviors are influenced and learned from external force rather than the internal forces. And here is like this, and classical conditioning is Pavlov, and just to think about in the beginning, and here is a dog, and the food is there, right? And oh, that is my food, and then later on, dog is kind of when they see the once the dog food, and then saliva, and then what? And it's a kind of there is a conditioning, and the dog has kind of see the food, and then what's chime into the bell, and then what? Ring the bell, and then the dog has kind of saliva because of the food, and put together, and then later on just chiming the ring the bell, and the dog is kind of have saliva is there, and then later on without any food, and then so ringing a bell, and the dog think about food, and then have saliva in its mouth. There is a classical conditioning developed by experimented by the Pavlov. And what about the operant conditioning is we have Skinner's is a very important figure in behaviorism, and then here is the dog. Dog is kind of it's a Ryanesian. I'm not sorry. Dog is here, and then try to play around. I did experiment when I was studying, and then try to play around the lever is here. When you push the lever, it would come out, right? And then kind of conditioning is that the rat is kind of moving around to try to come to kind of train them to closer to the lever, and then lever is kind of push, and then you can give them some food. In the beginning around here, and then you can give them food, and then externally touch the lever, and then you can give them food. And then the rat is coming, go away, and coming back, and push the lever, and give the kind of food, and the kind of training. That is food is kind of is what? Reward, right? So, and that is the operant, if you do something, and the what? There's a reward is there. That's a basic idea of behaviorism. So outside stimulus here and what? Reinforce them to get what they want. So nowadays, kind of a lot of education is just think about reinforcement. So, a lot of parents make a kind of condition. If you do good and study always, and my kids, and one day he told me, and then Dad, what? So I wanna have a dog. So why? So I like it. Okay. So my friend's parents promised that if she got all A's on class, and they're gonna buy the dog for her. Really? Wow, how nice! But I don't wanna make a kind of promise. Study is yours, and I don't want to do that. So like this, and then there's like kind of a reinforcement. If they do good, and kind of there is a positive reinforcement, right? Keep doing and let them do. But what's the negative? And if they don't have the right outcome, and what? They don't, if you, you gotta study every day 4 hours, and they don't study 4 hours and 3 hours, and then kind of a negative reinforcement. Maybe like maybe okay, you cannot take out the snack that they like because that's a negative reinforcement. Maybe punishment like this, right? Punishment. So there is a positive reinforcement is here, and then so always the bowel is kind of always reinforcement of food, and then right the behaviors are directly motivated by the reward that can be obtained, like dog food, right? Food is always conditioned by the bell, and Rise of combined teachers in the classroom and utilize positive reinforcement to help the student learn the concept better, right? That is maybe you can use it. So that is the basic idea about really emphasize how to change your behavior, right? That's the behaviorism. And so behaviorism is a kind of really directive kind of observed actions. It's not like the cognitive learning theories. So really, but one thing is that usually, there's always barrier is there. So, like behaviorism does not explain abnormal behavior in terms of brain or inner working, right? But all they believe that all behavior is learned habits, and attempt to account for how these habits are formed. They try to explain it, right? So they assuming that human behavior is learned. Okay, but there is kind of undesirable behavior is kind of replaced by the desirable new behaviors. That is a kind of a theory. So nowadays a lot of education was like, just think about when you all this like one of one of the learning behaviorism theory, right? Learning theory. So reinforce and kind of their achievement. So let them kind of keep doing the work hard. What about the implication of the behaviorism? And there is kind of you can change the behavior, and then maybe you can contract, they can give them kind of consequences, positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, and they can use it like this one. And here is kind of a contract, and student, example, student is now completing homework assignment, teacher and student design a contract providing that the student will stay for extra help. Ask parents for help and complete assignment work on time. The teacher will be available after school and during the free period of the additional assistance. I can see if they don't do and they stay and they have to do extra work through my kids. What about the consequences? And there is a positive consequences because of their behavior. They are good, and then was a positive reinforcement, like giving you a smile and complimentary and commending the student for the work and selected for the special project and kind of there's a lot of way that you could reinforce positively. And what about the punishment? That is negatively, right? And what's the negative reinforcement is kind of punishment, administrated to suppress the what? Undesirable behavior, like just like this one is like submitting the all assignment on time resulting in the was a lowest grade and being dropped. That is one of your one of your positive and so reinforcement. Sorry, that is negative reinforcement like punishment, right? And if they don't good and then they have to do like a paid extra hour that the student could do other things like play outside but instead of going outside playing and they stay inside and do homework like this. So punishment is involves presenting strong stimulus that decrease the frequency of the particular response. So punishment is effectively and quickly eliminating undesirable behavior like this. Students who find and immediately report it to the principal office, right? And I still remember my kids in kindergarten as they have kind of bear, right? And black bear is the highest one, and then there is a red bear is kind of okay. If you get the red bear, and then that's big trouble. The parent called you to school, and then kind of there's student gonna be trouble like this, and they depends on the achievement and depends on their behavior. Like give the white bear. White bear is below the black bear, and pink bear and the red bear is a big trouble, right? Like this, and try to encourage good things and trying to decrease the undesirable behavior like this. Extinction is kind of decrease the probability of response by contingent withdrawal of the previous reinforced stimulus. And then just look at this, and then student has developed the habit of saying the punctuation mark and when reading aloud. Class may reinforce the behavior by laughing when they do so, right? And the teacher tells the student not to laugh, thus extinction the behavior. Extinction, that is one of So how can you eliminate the undesirable behavior, right? So kind of decrease, and then try to get rid of the behavior. And here is kind of modeling and shaping and cueing. That is one of the ways that you can use it. Show them the kind of observation, right? Through the observation, and then you gotta reinforce or not, and how can you shaping the attitude? How can keep shaping, give them cue that to develop their desirable behavior, right? That is really observational. So observational learning. So you gotta observe, right? That's good things. And sometimes, furthermore, you could modify their behavior, right? That is such a really good thing, so behavioral therapy. But think about it. Sometimes, they are really motivated by external rewards. What about there is no internal motivation, and then when there is no external motivation, they're not gonna do much stuff. And irresponsible, right? That is a trouble though. So a lot of kids and study while they are in school because of especially for an Asian community, and then maybe really up there kind of people who really concerned about education, and then just think about it, how parents can push their kids to study hard, right? Just think about there was a lot of people say tiger mom, and nowadays it was a moon, moon, driver or something like that, and then helicopter parent like this. But usually it's for it's kind of making fun of the Asian parents. Not all the time, but what about the helicopter mom is like this, right? And they come hovering around, and they give them what to do, what not to do, and all the time, and quickly coming up and controlled children. And then I didn't know that always a kind of a negative connotation about Asians kind of performance on studies, and then but if you see that the high upper classes of education from the from the kindergarten, and then they put their children in private school. They spend $100,000, right? And it's just, if you compare with like Asians kind of a parent kind of forcing to study, sometimes it's nothing. It's nothing. And that's why a lot of the upper class and try to send their kids to good private private schools, and send them to the good college like that. Not just for the Asian parents, it's kind of that is kind of shaped by medias and shaped by certain class. But think about other education. People, just the middle class and upper class and lower class, think about your way of the education, right? It's really different though. What about another really main learning theory is constructivism. And that is based on the idea that students actually create their own learning based on the previous experience. And think about it, and they experience something, and they remember and recollect, and kind of associate with that, and then learn something. That's a constructivism learning theory. So this model is really focus on learning as an active process which is personal, individual for each student. So, and individualism more, it's not like just sitting there and intake the information. No, they kind of involve actively and discuss actively like this, and that is a really little bit different. So teachers can utilize constructivism to help the student understand what each student will bring their own past to the classroom every day, and then they develop their learning in the classroom. So teachers can work guide to help the students create their own learning and understanding. Maybe if you have 30 kids and they are different, and I don't know, depends on how you manage the classroom, right? Uh, Even though, yeah, my kids grown up, the kind of Asian uh, cultures already dominate and minorities already dominate. So, but still, even though among the minority ethnic groups and what, and Indians, different Chinese and Koreans and other Filipinos, right? So, what I want to say is that their experience is different based on the values and family values and parent values, right? Here is a diagram. Basically, you can understand the rest of the constructivism learning theory, and there is a concrete experience in the past, right? And then you observe something right now, and then think about and reflect the things and what forming the abstract things in your mind, and then what testing in the new situation. That's what I mean, cycle, and then you have to construct your own things, right? That's the one of the way theory that you can do it. So experience is really important. Experience. Just think about and first one is kind of a cognitivism, mental process, like really important, right? But they don't even know the external component. But behaviorism is observing and what, and by kind of conditioned to to draw the what's a desired behavior, right? And conditioning people are kind of, and the constructivism is kind of based on your experience and what associated your observation and the reflecting and what you can have your own concept and understanding and concept and testing. There is a constructivism theories. What about the humanism learning theory? Humanism is really focused on the idea of self-actualization. So it's really focused on human itself, right? And there is kind of Abraham Maslow and he's the one of the creating the humanism and and there's a hierarchy of needs, and so people like this, and then Abraham Maslow like this, and then there's a different needs of in hierarchy. In the beginning, the physiological needs and breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleeping. This is everybody can has, right? That's a physiological needs. And if you disorient about people more concerned about health, employment, and property, and family, social stability, and then the safety and security, need of the safety, and safety and security. What about and then the another higher needs after that, and then loving and belonging, needs. So friendship, family, intimacy, sense of connection, right? That's the another needs of people. And what about the self-esteem? After that, a higher need is what? Confidence, achievement, respect of others, and needed to be a unique individual. And okay, I want to be a little bit different from others. Self-esteem. What about the self-actualization? It means that, wow, how can you define yourself? How can you carry out your achievement like this? And that, and morality, creativity, and spontaneity, and acceptance, and experience of purpose, and meaning, and inner and potential. That is the humanistic kind of understanding of the. So just a basic, based from the Beijing need, and people have a more hierarchy, higher, kind of, I don't know, better need for itself, and then how come to what really want to do as a human being. It's not just a task that they want to do, right? So here's the humanistic kind of learning is so learning occurs on the basis of the person's motivation. Beijing need is here. Okay, if you are satisfied with the physiological need, and that's all. No motivation and stuck there. Like this, the desire to grow in positive ways and self-concept and subjective feelings are very important as a human being. So how you see yourself, I don't want to say in a way, but it's easy to understand. It's a human animals and just eating and sleeping and sheltering like animals, and then that's the basic need, the bottom of the need, and motivated by that. And if you have something you can kind of satisfy with it, and you're not going to go next level as a human being. So assume that the human kind of has more, desire, higher desire, needs to be actually a kind of need kind of have kind of self-actualizing, self-actualization. So personal goals, not only for the not personal goal, and then the more and accepted and have integrities like this, not just successful in this success in this world, right? And positive and self-images and confidence like this. And then, so learning is facilitated by the caring facilitators and nurturing environment. Okay, facilitators are very important and kind of keep kind of motivating them and leading them, and encourage spontaneous and creativity and emotional express and positive choices, and then like this. That's the humanistic theory of the learning. So here is, and I already told you, that teachers can create a classroom environment to help students get closer to their self-actualization. It's not get all A's in the class. It's not a separate. Just if we are really task-oriented and just think about human being, right? That's one part of a human being that you really want to do something. But what about the other part of a human being? Being, right? Not the task. What about yourself? How do you see yourself? Right? Mature and dealing with all problems in the different levels, right? So educators can help to fulfill student emotion and psychological need, and say the comfort with anything, like this, and there is a basic need is there, and then try to help the student to achieve themselves who they are, not just a physiological need and this need and love and all needs. That is the humanism. What about the connectivism learning theory? Have you thought about the connectivism learning theory? And connectivism is a kind of recent learning theories, and it really focuses on that idea. People people learn and grow when they form the connections. Maybe that's a social learning theory, and then some people learn by themselves, and some people learn within groups. And actual social settings is very different, because there is you can make connections, and then you can learn different perspectives, right? Different people and different perspectives, and then that's why there is the theory. This is a theory. So people maybe have different hobbies, goals. People can be connected and influence one another with influence. Like if you go to Facebook nowadays, I can see that I see a lot of do you know what I interested? I see more in the movie clips, and the rest of the things are popping out. So I interested really succulent and plants, and watch a lot of sports clubs, and there is sometimes kind of joined the golf club, and then they coming out how they swing, give them basic informations, and then some people composing their golf swings and all like this, right? That's a connectivism, and that's learning. Here is people. So here is people have previous new knowledge influenced by the kind of digital learning information. Just think about incoming first year student, and then they think about previous knowledge about high school and guidance counselor. They have when they are freshman of college, and they have experience like that, and right, and then previous understanding of a college administrator, maybe how they think about administrator, and then maybe they met and whatever, and then and then previous information about the academic advisor, right, and just the whole ideas, the previous experience is there in the and current experience of college, and they put together, right? They connect, and form the new process like this, and maybe different people, and just think about connected like learners as a node, and a lot of different peoples, and then what about the technologies, and then context, which context I am in, and which context I was in high school, and maybe if you grown up in the LA area, and then it's a lot of minority, right? But if you go to college to the East Coast, one of college to the East Coast, and then context is totally different. Context is totally different. And my daughter said that after first year and the half was first semester, and then kids are going back to school, and then going back home, and a lot of people each other asking, how are you gonna do? What are you gonna do during this summer vacation? So she said, my daughter said, going back home, but she doesn't have any specific plans. And then they said, oh, I tried to find the internship. Though people who are in other people, and they said, oh, I tried to find the internship and build kind of experience what I'm interested in, and then people are really different now, right? And what is the learning content. So a lot of different things out there, and then you can try connect together, and you're gonna learn something, right? You learn something. That's the connectivism. So yeah, here is the basic kind of principle of connectivism. And the learning and knowledge rest in diverse opinions, not one way, not the only one. And learning, that's why I'm trying to connect. And then learning is a process of connecting specialized knowledge and information process. Got it? And learning may reside in non-human appliance like technology, right? Capacity to know more is more critical than what is the current known, right? That's one of the component. Nurturing maintenance connection is needed to facilitate continual learning. Ability to see connection between field, ideas, concepts is core skills. They need specific ability, right? How can you connect ideas and different things? And then currency, accurate, up-to-date knowledge is the intent of all connectivities learning activities. So not a wrong information, right? That is we are making decisions itself as a learning process. Yeah, there's a basic kind of principle for the connectivism. Makes sense? And how you learned. But just think about different learning style, learning theory, and then which learning theory is for specific area that you really want to learn. And some of them is like it's hard, right? Maybe like a constructivism, and then how can just think about school education. What is the resources? What is the environment? Whole kind of stuff is considered, and how much you can take in. And connectivism too, right? What about the transformative learning theories? And that is approach for the adult education and young adult, not the primary and secondary education. So idea is the learners can adjust their thinking based on new information. So nowadays I'm old, and then do you know how fast the technologies kind of changes? Sometimes, especially my wife, and I always told her that, okay, just play with any program. Don't worry. If you make a mistake, and just don't save it, and then it's okay, but still scared. And sometimes it's frustrated and kind of upset because you guys don't help me like this. That is really transforming learning theory. So this one is kind of developed by the Major, and he believes that Jack Major, and then he discovered after doing studies on adult women who went back to school, right? And just think about when adult women went back to school is totally different, right? Learning environment different, and technology is different, and contents are different, like this. So he believes that students had important teaching and learning opportunity connected to the past experience that and critical reflection and reviewing, reflection review could lead the transform of the understanding. Just think about that. One is a little bit similar to the constructivism, right? Constructivism. So little bit different setting, but this one is like much focus on adult education. Yeah, this one is maybe if you can draw the childhood experience and transform their belief and then understanding using critical reflection, and especially for belief and like a religious belief, and then maybe it could go this way, and then just think about it. Your family, yeah, your family kind of believers, and then something's happened faster, and then reflect their own experience, and then how this one kind of transform those beliefs, and then understanding with critically reflections. Yeah. That's why they said this one is what world is changed yeah, more than we learn, and just usually focus on adult learning, and then depends on how you think, and you just reflect and critical reflect, and how do you think, and then that's related to your worldview, how you understand the world, and then how you understand your belief, right? Now, measures can be used about so 10 phases of the learning. There is self-evident also distorting dilemma is kind of you have faced some problems, right? And then self-examination, and with how do you, with the feeling of the fears and angers, guilt and shames, and then just to examine itself. And then next level critical assessment, and then just maybe you can use some assumption like epidemic or social cultural and psychic, and kind of critically assessment your situation, and then kind of recognizing kind of why this content and process of transformation are kind of how this one is kind of happened, right? And then kind of and how transformation is gonna be processed, right? Kind of that one is shared in recognitions, and then exploration means that you're gonna choose one new way and new roles, and maybe relationship and actions, and then kind of exposed to that one. And what about planning for the course of actions? And then it's not a one-day work, right? How can you set your kind of times as a part of your life, as like a classroom schedule, right? And acquisition of knowledge through the process of what you learn, right? And any specific knowledge and skills for implementing kind of your plans, right? Which one is better for me, and which one is better, right? And provisional trying roles, and then also new roles, and then if you get a knowledge, and then okay, maybe this was good, and then trying. Maybe sometimes even though your knowledge is okay, you may be confirmed, and then you have confidence, but still, what happened? Awkward, kind of nervous, like this, right? And building confidence itself, confidence, right? There is you got the confidence yourself and competence. I know you have ability to deal with like this, and integration. So think about what you happened in your life, and then and you have now is a new idea about yourself, right? And then kind of the dilemma is there, right? And then you can integrate the problem, solve the problem, and integrate in new ways, two new ways. So maybe you have new knowledge. That is the and what is the transformative learning style, learning theory. What about social learning? Social learning is a little bit different, and then there is a lot of available tools and to deal with a difficult student who like to disrupt the classroom or cause a trouble, and then what can you do then? And the theory is really focused on the concept of children learning from the observing others, right? That one is really similar to the behaviorism, but it's not the experiment setting, but this is a social situation, kind of a social environment with others, right? And we really focus on the concept of children learning from the observing others by acting on or not acting on what they see, which is exhibited by their classroom. That one is kind of Albert Bandler, and then he watched the children, and then what they watch from the adult, and they do the really the role that they play like adults without any restriction, and they really like did what they watched, observed from parents. So here is how the example is there, and maybe they see a classmate politely asking for a treat and getting one, or maybe they hear another classmate talking about something new they have learned, and which teachers the students something new, even if it's not something they try themselves. So it's really modeling is really important in the kind of situation and social learning theory. And there is kind of an element is there, and there is attention, social learning theory, attention is called upon the different unique lessons and activities to help children focus. You're gonna get the attention, right? And then retention, in the focus of how the student will internalize information. Just think about attention, and then what gives them information, and keep make the information for himself, right? And what about the reproduction? Is drawing on the previous learned behavior and when appropriate to use it. So in such a situation, and what they have to reproduce the same things, right? What they learn. And then motivate, and then kind of a motivation, and motivate the student, and then to keep doing what they learn. And so maybe instead of seeing the other classmate being rewarded or punished for their actions, right? That is the extensions. That is a really kind of four elements to social learning theory. By this social learning theories, modern social learning theories, and teachers have a very powerful tool in their weapons that can effectively guide their students to be more active in their learning and pay more attention and channel their energy into their schooling. So kind of motivating, right? It is same just Albert Bandura is kind of had products so attention process and retention process and a little bit more extended about the process each stages. So yeah. So that's the learning theories that we had, and then that's the last one. Another one is the experiential learning theory. Basically, experiential learning theory sorry. Social learning theory is human behaviors currently. There is a different factors, influenced by the different factors and behavioral factors and cognitive factors and environment factors. So we gotta consider all things, and then because that's related in social life, right? So that's we gotta consider in social learning theory. What about the experiential learning theory? Experiential learning theory is kind of focus on what learned by doing. It's not thinking, right? And cognition is kind of mental process. This one is like more constructivism, right? Experience by doing. So you're gonna participate in the part of the things and be and see and feel, right? Sense. So learn through the experience that can help them as the student retain information and recall facts. And there's David Paul, and then in 1984 he made these theories, and then here is kind of basic cycles. And this is a kind of a concrete experience. Something's happened, and you experience, and you feel, you observe, right? You sense something, and then kind of you have a reflective kind of process. You're gonna reflect what you observe, and then think about and maybe this one is a reflection is kind of recall your past experience, and then maybe how related, and then how you can make understand, right? And this one is abstract conceptualization. Is mean that you can have from the past experience and the reflective process, and then you able to form your conceptual concept abstract kind of formed your knowledge. And what happened? And then active experimentation, and then you gotta test your ideas and skills and new experience. That's experiential learning. So maybe you can see a lot of kind of a common ground. So how they behavioralism and constructivism and connectivism, and then social learning and transformational learning, and always they are they kind of have how observation is very important, and then but they try to explain in different way in how they process information, how they construct the information, right? That is in different. But sometimes it's not that much difference, but a little bit difference, and then maybe next week, maybe if we have time, and then maybe we have kind of see how they are different, how they are same. That's why some scholars and there is three big kind of learning theories. One is there is a cognition and constructivism and behaviorism, and some of them is a little bit put the different social learning and other stuff and different, but still big three categories, and they try to put the bottom, but depends on how they understand about. As a teacher, you can use a lot of different strategies if you know. That's why, at least as an educator, you gotta know how what kind of theories are there, and then how teachers utilize their theories, and then even though your main theory is maybe cognition, cognitive learning theory, but still you can use other stuff. And if you really like the behaviorism learning theory, personally, I'm not a fan of the behavior learning theory, but I don't even know that one. But depends on how you like, and maybe if you this theory is really effective, you think, and then I think so you can do better, and then you can do it. But don't even know other theories, and there's a lot of tons of theories, right? So far I found 32 theories, but they kind of, you can, all the theories kind of umbrellize over the 34 learning theories. Okay, you guys, and then this is a kind of theories kind of developed by the scholars, and I hope that it's helpful for you and to understand yourself, and then to students, and to teach the students. So if you read the books and there's more, and if you go to Google it, and then you can see the more detailed different way kind of categorize and then present. All right. And today we learn about the learning theories, and then I hope that kind of understand what. Just think about, reflect what style you had in your classroom, and what you need, right? And depends on your situation, and then maybe.